Wine is a traditional drink that has been consumed since ancient times. It is identified with gastronomy in Western societies. Wine is mainly fermented grape juice. Wine can be produced from other fruits. Every grape is not suitable for wine. The wines are named according to the grape variety. Today, there are many different kinds of wine belonging to various domestic and foreign brands. Some of these are cheap and others are expensive. The price difference is about the quality of the wine as much as the cost. Many factors influence wine quality. Quality criteria and preservation of quality is an essential issue in gastronomy. In this study, general characteristics of wine, production, and quality factors affecting quality in the production process are explained. The wine is mainly red. It is divided into varieties such as white, rose, blush, and liqueur wines. Artificial foaming, artificial semi-foaming, natural foaming, and natural semi-foaming varieties subjected to the champagne process, such as it is in the category of wine. Champagne, on the other hand, is produced only in the Champagne region of France from certain grapes defined and again defined. According to the champagne production method, a nomenclature that can be used for wines produced. Wine has been one of the most valued drinks since ancient times. In the years before Christ, in the celebrations of different cultures, and it is known that they widely use wine in ceremonies. Wine production first, it is estimated that it was carried out in the Middle East, the Caucasus, and the Anatolian geography. Wine production is the hardest, most labor-intensive in the world, and it is one of his endeavors that requires self-sacrifice. Wines produced with primitive methods in the past are now produced using modern technologies. Quality criteria in wine is further subdivided into more detailed and variable parameters. Vinification is the introduction of the grape into the winery. It is the process until it turns into wine. All wine varieties depend on the type of production. It is produced by a general process. White wine, white obtained from grapes. However, after pressing red wine grapes, white wine can also be produced by quickly removing the skins. Rose and red wines only work, and black wine grapes. Roses are a process of crushing in wine production. Little red color transfer from the rind to the wine by keeping the subsequent maceration time short is provided. Other than that, cheap roses are obtained by adding a little red wine to white table wines to produce wine. There are also products. The quality of the wine is harvested at the right time the grapes are used. Depends on. The busiest and critical time of the year for winemakers is usually 15. It is the vintage period that takes place between August and October 15th. Since the alcohol in the wine consists of the sugar of the grapes, reaching a certain level of sugar in the grapes is required. Determining the harvest time of grapes, the amount of sugar and acid is measured in order to the sooner the grapes are harvested, the better the wine. As little sugar, colorants, and mature tannins, however, the more acid there is. Grape, the amount of sugar increases as it matures. On the other hand, with maturation, some amount of acid there is decrease. When the grapes are picked too late, there is also the danger of a marmalade taste. The grapes collected at harvest time are placed in the crates in the shortest possible time. It is transferred to the enterprises in a timely manner and with the least damage. During the transport, damage to the grape grains, the desire of the must to further production facilities in an undesired manner. By entering the fermentation process before reaching results, the number of microorganisms that adversely affect the wine quality is also high in damaged grapes. By some manufacturers in hot seasons, as preferred, the grapes are stored at a temperature of 13–14 degrees C with refrigerated vehicles. Significant improvement in must quality provides. Normally, all phenolic compounds found in plants' tannins are found in the skin, seeds, and garbage of grapes. Grapes are garbage, seeds, and tannins found in their shells have different properties. Ensuring taste balance in wines, the desired tannins will come from the shell. Are tannins. By crushing and pressing during pickling, from stems and seeds, tannins, which may cause a bitter taste, are not desired to pass into the must. However, grape, or according to the nature of the wine that the grape will be processed, black grapes directly without leaving the stems, they can be crushed. The garbage separation device is essentially a perforated mineral cylinder with it consists of rotating pallets. pallets that rotate around an axis along the roller. The clusters hit the inner wall of the cylinder, and thus the grains are separated from their stems. While the stems remaining in the cylinder are thrown out regularly, the separated grains are located just below the grapes. They fall into the crushing mill. With feet, primitive methods such as cloaking or topping with shoes are no longer used. From the stems, separated grain corrugated and rotating towards each other, crushed between waltzes. Grape crushing rollers. First it was made of grooved cylindrical boards and then passed to iron rollers. However, iron, since it is not desired to come into contact with grapes, it is covered with plastic. Coated aluminum roller systems have been developed. During crushing, the grains crack and release their water. Between the waltzes will crush the grains, but not the kernels should be set accordingly. Otherwise, substances such as unwanted oil in the bean will pass into the wine and spoil the taste. Handle mesh obtained as a result of separation and crushing, with the aid of a pump, in the production of white wine directly to presses. In red wine production are sent to the maceration tank.
Obtained in the crushing stage. Closed containers for transfer of desired ingredients from the mash rind to the grape juice are kept for a while. The type of grape, the type of wine to be made, and the winemakers at varying times depending on your preference. During the maceration, the grape juice extracts color, odor, and flavor as well as tannin and gains fullness. This stage is important because the color and tannin transition is important. It is especially important in the production of red wine. Most of the red grapes, the must is light yellow. During the 10 to 15 days of maceration, the must turn red. White. This process is not applied in wine production. Rosé according to the desired color tone in wine production. Waiting for 48 hours is sufficient. The maceration process is carried out in tanks with constant temperature control between 26–28 degrees C. Depending on the temperature during maceration, there is a partial fermentation with the effect of natural microflora. At the end of the process, most of the husks are separated. Pressing. Obtaining grape juice is the process of squeezing the mash so that it can be produced. When the mash is put in the press, the juice is automatically filtered. Without applying pressure, this first must be taken is called the first must. The worts that are taken after pressing are called the pressing wort. Press must from seeds and shells. Since more substance passes, the pressing must is more. It is bitter and painful. This bitterness and astringency increase with the number of presses. Hence, the last wort obtained from pressing is mostly for table used in wine production. The resulting musts are classified. Wines are produced at various stages of the production process. It is subjected to a filtration process several times. The first filtration process after pressing residues and solids in must be used to remove it. Must or the residue is removed by passing it through a separator or by keeping it in sedimentation tanks for 24 hours. And in recent years, the use of enzymes for precipitation has become widespread. The must is taken into tanks with a cooling jacket or serpentine, and by adding enzyme, the sediment is left to settle for precipitation. The results of the research, the addition of the enzyme method has a positive effect on the bouquets of wines. Too much clarification of the wort at the end of the sedimentation process is undesirable. Otherwise, the yeast will not be able to find a place to hold on during fermentation and will not be able to work by sinking to the bottom. Order in the sediment settling tank. It is separated into two phases, top wort and sludge, forming the upper phase fermentation by pulling the most part with a pump sent to the fermentation tank. Fermentation is a very important step in wine production. Necessary yeast culture is added to the wort and the fermentation process is started. It is the process of turning the must into wine. Sugar naturally found in grapes to alcohol by wine yeast is converted. Fermentation temperature is between 14–26 degrees C depending on the type of wine is requested. Generally, lower temperatures are preferred in white wine production and higher temperatures are preferred in red wine production. At higher temperatures it shortens the fermentation time. However, with the effect of carbon dioxide gas, it causes a loss of volatile aromatic substances. Opens, preserving aroma at lower temperatures, slowing the growth of unwanted bacteria, and making wine more comfortable. Although there is a clarification of the yeast preventing it from working efficiently, causing it to die and may cause the fermentation to stop. Fermentation is long, lasting between 10 to 30 days. In red wines, too high acidity is not desired in order to maintain the balance of taste. The wine produced must be softened by losing its acidity. The fermentation tank is subjected to malolactic fermentation by aerating, activating existing bacteria, or adding a ready-made bacterial culture. This process at a temperature of 20-25 degrees C takes 1 week on average. Transfer wine is to transfer it to another container to separate it from the sediment at the bottom. A small amount during transfer by aerating aerated wine ripens easily. The process is repeated at regular intervals. With air transfer clean, separated from bad odors and residue, wine is cooled periodically. During cooling, 10-15 minutes of mixing should be applied. 5-7 in cooled wine insulated tanks per day are kept. After waiting, the wine is filtered through filters. The fermentation product is turbid. Turbidity factors should be cleared by removing them from the wine. An advanced filtration in the traditional method of precipitation of the product over time, it was expected and even aged by being bottled in a cloudy form. Developing industrial and wine production, the clarity and brightness of the product have come to the fore as a quality criterion. During the ripening period, wines gradually become clear. External intervention is required to accelerate the clarification process, such as gelatin, bentonite, fish glue, activated charcoal, kaolin, and casein to clarify wines. Substances are used. The fining agent can be easily removed after fining the wine, and that it can be completely separated from the wine, and that the wine should cause the least loss in smell, taste, and color. Kieselguhr in today's technology filters, plate filters, membrane filters, crossflow filtration, ultrafiltration, and clarification is done by reverse osmosis. Priority in wine filtration: the goal is not just to clarify the wine, it is to ensure that the aroma and taste profile of the product is preserved. Every wine has a different ripening time. During the ripening process, various differentiations occur in the taste, smell, and texture of the wine. Ripening in wine: various chemical reactions going on throughout the wine cause significant changes in the wine, leads to improvements occur in the taste, smell, color, and texture of wines.